Hi guys, and welcome to a battle between the cult of Sotek, led by myself and a fat boy Slan himself, up against Logic and his evil Tomb Kings. Now this is a bit of a returning video. I've been away for about a week and a half. I went home for a little while to celebrate my birthday and whatnot, so I've been away from my computer, but I thought what better way to make a return than with the mighty beast, the Shredder of Lustria himself. I've gone for a rather interesting build, which I would not necessarily recommend as a good build, but there is a plan behind it, so let me explain. I have brought the Shredder of Lustria himself. Now this very, very angry fat boy is an absolute bullet magnet. Now going up against people like the Tomb Kings, who have a lot of your shop tea and anti-large tools to tear down this beast, he seems like an odd pick, but basically I'm using him as an incredibly expensive distraction. So I'm hoping my opponent puts everything into the Shredder. I'm going to be trying to keep him alive with a Slan Mage Priest of Life, who we'll get to a little bit later. And the real secret weapon of my army, or not so secret weapon, is these 3 units of Temple Guard in the centre. They're going to be trying to work as, like a Roman legion and just push through the enemy front line and grind out that fight. So we have 2 units in the front line who are chevroned up, and also the Star Chamber Guardians, the regiment renowned the elite of the elite in the back, and they're going to be protecting their Slan Mage Priest up here. These guys give a nice Guardian bonus. We can see here, which is a 15% physical resistance to all lords and heroes, and are just generally badass warriors. We also have a Slan Mage Priest of Life up here, who's going to be coming with Banishment, which can be very useful at taking down mass amounts of troops. Shield of the Old Ones, Shield of Thorns, and Earthblood, which are both going to be fantastic at keeping this main fighting core going and keeping the Shredder of Lustria alive. Now on our flanks, we do have 2 units of Skink Cohorts, who are just there to make our line a little bit wider and hopefully get round the back and do some sneaky stabbings. Up in the high ground here, we do have 2 very sneaky units of Chameleon Skinks, who again, their job is going to be trying to harass your shop tea and so forth, and hit any unarmoured troops. Now in the very back as well, in kind of a very deep reserve, we do have a unit of Cold One Spear Riders, very good at taking down constructs and so forth, and their main plan is to get round the back and hop on top of your shop tea, which I'm very much fearful of in this matchup. So the plan is Shredder of Lustria, big distraction. Temple Guard, such a difficult unit for Tomb Kings to deal with, especially the infantry. I'm just going to try and grind through that front line. Let's have a little look at my opponent's list. So in his front line, he has gone for mainly anti-large tools, apart from the Kepper Guard here. He has Skeleton Spearmen mixed in with Tomb Guard with Halberds in a very wide formation, which is going to be very nasty for the Shredder to break through. Now against Massasaurus, this may struggle a little bit, but the Tomb Guard are going to be in there, and they give a little bit more, of an elite kind of back line to this massively wide front formation. In the back, he has gone for 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Skeleton Warriors, including the Blessed Legion. Bit of an odd pick in this matchup because I don't think they do too good against Saurus Warriors. However, maybe expecting a lot of skink kind of schemes and trickery, considering I am the Cult of Sotek, they could turn out to be a very good pick. They should be able to tear apart the skink cohorts quite effectively, and with this amount of volume of fire, they do a decent amount of work to the Shredder of Lustria and even these Chameleon Skinks. Then the very back, he has the fearful unit, the Chosen of the Gods, you shop to Great Bows Regiment Renowned. However, these guys are a little bit better at taking down infantry than individual units, in my opinion, because their shots kind of do this spray as they come out, and they work a little bit more, something like firing shrapnel rather than a single bolt. Now for his leadership core, he does have a Tomb Prince here on foot, so it's a little bit cheaper than on horse, a little bit less mobility, but Lizardmen aren't too fast. He brings some great anti-large and armor-piercing abilities, and let's see what he's gone for himself. So he does have the Blade of Setep, minus 30 armor and 22 physical resistance, nice little bit of sniping ability there, and Tomb Strike, and of course he has Guardian. And for his main leadership today, he has gone, if I can find her, for the High Queen herself, on top of a very cool looking snake, and I'm a big fan of her scepter. I didn't realise until I looked at this replay, but look how badass that thing is. It's kind of sneaking around in her hands as if it is alive itself. So let's get this battle underway. So as you can see, we're going to be moving up the Chameleons on the right flank. Going to get some early poke onto these Tomb Guard, hopefully drag a couple of units out of position so we can maybe ambush them with these Cold One Spear Riders who are also moving up. Our main force is moving up. Skinks a little bit faster than their slower Temple Guard brethren, and 1 unit paying the price with an early volley, but they're going to be escaping into the trees. Shredder of Lustria just strafing back and forth a little bit in case any shots do come in, and Slan Mage Priest rolling with his bodyguard. So Chameleon Skinks getting scared off by Skeleton Archers, so nice play of them so far. I realised I wasn't really getting too much value. It's going to be retreating back into the trees, but some big shots coming in early there from the Chosen of the Gods, doing some really decent damage. But we have managed to isolate one unit of Skeleton Spearmen, which is getting dragged away from the main battle line. So up come the Cold One Spear Riders. Now, normally, these guys obviously aren't the best against anti-large troops, but they're going to be assisted by some skink cohorts coming in the flank. So we're going to get a nice cheeky 2-for-1 here in the trees. The Cold One's going to be darting between those long trunks and coming in and starting to pound down on these Skeleton Spearmen as the skinks do start coming in from the flank. So that's going to be a nice little engagement on the side, which should hopefully open up a bit of a pocket to the back line. Now, as you can see in the front line, the Shredder is getting shredded himself by that pure Ushopti fight. He's taken a ton of damage already, but he is starting to close the gap now. And as we can see, the front battle lines are about to engage. The Shredder's going charging in, and the Star Chamber Guardians, the elite of the elite, fly up into the air. They can jump crazy high on top of these Tomb Guard, and they do have a Shield of Thorns dropped on them and a Shield of the Old Ones, keeping the Shredder in the fight. It's taken a huge amount of damage, but we do have a lot of healing. So all across the front line, Temple Guard are going to mulch apart these skeletons. Slar Mage Priest rolling up a little bit as well to assist. And in the distance, we can see we're going to drag away these Cold One Spear Riders and just let the skink cohorts finish them off and try and get through this gap in the back. Over on the left flank here as well, we have some skink cohorts who have just trotted around this battle line and are going to try and fall onto the Blessed Legion. But if I do remember correctly, my opponent, very aware of my sneaky schemes here, is going to be bringing these Skeleton Spearmen over up the hill to engage, and they should be able to hold them off. Now in the front line, as you can see, even the elite Tomb Guard are starting to get obliterated by the much tougher and much stronger Lizardmen. It looks like we can have a banishment coming down on this big unit as well, which is stationary, and you can see the huge HP damage tearing them apart below half health. So a massive, nice cast there by the Slan, and the Cold One Riders are going to enter that gap. And the Shredder Velocity has been taking so much damage, has had enough of this range ability, and he's pushed his way through, and he's going to be popping on top of these Skeleton Archers. But the Tomb Guard are going to try and respond, and the Cold Ones are just going to be searching for some prey. Now over up on the high ground, we've managed to finish off these Skeleton Spearmen, maybe committing too much forces to dealing with them. And over on the side, we're simply going to run away with our much faster skink cohort. They did get caught, but instead they're just going to wrap around now and come back down on top of some Skeleton Archers and better targets. Now, the Shredder Velocity is completely isolated up here. We do have some Cold One Spear Riders attacking some Skeleton Archers nearby, but the Shredder is getting very beat up. He's still got 5,000 health, which is a ton. As you can see, that is dropping incredibly quickly, being getting the rear attacks from Tomb Guard, the High Queen herself, and the Tomb Prince. So in response, we dropped a Shield of Thorns, and we're going to be fleeing out of there. He is a very fast boy himself, so we should be able to escape fairly unscathed. And we're going to be bringing these glorious skink cohort who won their engagement on the right, just to try and buckle down these guys before we can get back to the Temple Guard, where, relative safety. And as you can see, all across the front line, 3 units of Temple Guard, incredibly healthy still, tearing apart the Skeleton Archers. Not Skeleton Archers, sorry, Skeleton front line. Now in the back, we do have skink cohorts chasing down Chosen of the Gods. They're probably not going to be able to defeat them in combat, but at least they stop them shooting for a little while. But it looks like they've got 32 kills already, done a ton of damage, and they've already used most of their ammo. In the back, Cold Ones continuing to be a pest and chasing down archers, but the main fight is in this front line right here. So we do drop a shield of the Old Ones. We're constantly healing the Shredder whenever we can, and even these anti-large troops are really struggling, mainly because of these Temple Guard in nearby who are just pulling them apart as the Shredder does its work and works as a giant distraction. Now we have had a bit of a standoff here, 2 units just standing still. I think the Temple Guard won their engagement, and a Skeleton Spearman flank hadn't quite wrapped around yet. So the Temple Guard are going to be pushing up, chasing down some Skeleton Archers and forcing them away. They're probably going to get surrounded, and arrows coming in from the top, but these are Temple Guard, they don't take no crap, so they should be fine. In the front line, have a skink cohort starting to wave as you'd expect, but Temple Guard holding the line, and the Shredder still going with 2,000 health here. And now we have some chameleon skinks who have come back, going to be shooting some shots into the back of these Tomb Guard halberds, getting rid of their shield abilities, which blocks some shots and doing some really good damage. And in the back, Cold One's constantly in the pain, and it looks like we are going for another banishment. So seeing my Temple Guard having got surrounded here, getting fired down upon, I thought, they should be able to win, but maybe there's a nice juicy target here for a fat banishment. So Slan, seeing the success of his previous banishment, drops another one, but unfortunately for me, you can see it just tears through my own troops, slaughtering all these Temple Guard, making them waver. And yes, it did a bit of damage to the enemy, but it does rout my own unit. units. Now these spearmen can just, chase them off the battlefield. In the back here you can see Cult One Spear Riders desperately trying to get away from the High Queen herself and trying to wrap round wherever they can. We do have some units returning to the fray. Now, the Temple Guard, yes, they're doing very, very victorious. They're standing firm, but there's only 2 units now, and they are starting to get a little bit low. This unit to half health, and this one just below half health. So we're chucking everything in here. The Shredder of Lustria, Skink cohorts coming in, and the power balance was in my opponent's favour. We've managed to bring it back to the middle at the moment, and even the Slan Mage Priest is going to have to get in there, dropping his fat spells. So not doing a decent job so far. We now have some chameleon skinks who are completely unimpeded, firing to the back of these Tomb Guard, who are the real kind of danger for the Shredder of Lustria left. Yes, there's a few archers, but they don't have the best armour piercing, and this Tomb Prince could be a big problem here. So he's surrounded by Star Chamber Guardians, which is fine for now. He'll do decent damage with them, but overall not good engagement for him. The Shredder of Lustria, though, being kept in the action by a lot of cold-blooded and basically all of my winds of magic. Now my opponent, noticing this Slan has been a little bit of a pain and has been healing up my Shredder this constant time, has now switched all his fire on him, but a big fat Earthblood catching all of my important units there, keeping them in the action, and a big magic missile coming into the flank of the Shredder of Lustria, who roars in pain, but he's still going strong. 990 health left, very, very sketchy. Now the Tomb Guard did rally up on the high ground and turned to engage the Skeleton Spearmen, and should be able to break them quite quickly and force their way to the back to the fight. But terrible result for me here. The Shredder of Lustria has started to rout. He's just taken too much punishment and has started to flee from the battlefield, but who stands strong just behind him? The Star Chamber Guardians, who are receiving a charge from Skeleton Spearmen, who are no problem. Your shop 2 have run out of ammo, but the High Queen is also here, going to be doing a ton of damage to my poor little dino boys. But they are anti-large and should be able to do a decent amount of damage back. As we can see, we have little blow darts firing in as well. Tomb Prince is anchoring this right flank for my opponent, and the left flank is looking okay for him, but he is up against the elite of the elite. And as we saw, the Slan Mage Priest did retreat, but only a faint retreat, as he does now come charging on top of the Ushopti, dropping his spells and doing, some okay damage. He's still a lord at the end of the day. Returning Temple Guard have rallied to their Slan, and now this situation is looking very healthy. And even better, the Shredder of Lustria, the heroic, mighty beast of the battle, does rally and comes with a massive, I don't know what to call that really, kind of a cheek slap on top of this Tomb Prince, and almost manages to finish him off one shot, but once again drags his face along the ground, crushing that Tomb Prince. And with that, power balance now does move fairly heavily in my favour, and this big mosh pit is perfect for me with all my healing and all my Shield of Thorns and so forth. And there's not too much punching power left on the Tomb King's side. They have some very beat up Skeleton Spearmen. The Blessed Legion aren't going to do much in combat at all, and Khalid is just going to be surrounded by Temple Guard who have remained strong. But my opponent has one last ace in his back pocket. He has not used his Ushopti summon yet, so he does summon them. I think a better option would have been to be behind here so he can get some nice rear attacks on these Temple Guard, but either way, they're going to be charging in there, and a nice healthy unit can be really impactful this late, but I've just managed to push the power balance enough that army losses did set in before they could really make an impact there. So maybe if they'd been summoned a little bit earlier, who knows, Shredder was once again wavering, and all my units are incredibly beat up. And nothing but a Pyrrhic victory there, but let's go to the end stats. So this was more of just kind of a fun game that we had done at the end of a big session of multiple games. So we both brought some slightly weird picks and stuff that you wouldn't necessarily see in this matchup, much like the Shredder, but the overall idea did work. The Shredder somehow survived, and 219 kills is huge, but its main job was to soak up that constant amount of firepower and basically be a massive distraction, and it did that perfectly, and that really allowed the true MVPs here, the Temple Guard, to slowly mulch their way through the Tomb Kings. They're such a dangerous unit. You need to use your range tools to take them out like your Shopsy, but you have this sudden urge, you need to kill this big horrible monster charging at you, so you leave the Temple Guard, and they even outnumbered crazy numbers, 148, 91, 130. They really tore through that army. And Tomb Kings don't have any infantry who can go toe-to-toe with them. It was a nice play of the Cold One Spear Riders as well, managed to catch a lot of stuff off guard, but my opponent was also fairly decent at protecting his back line, managing to eventually shut down those Cold One Riders of Khalid and using Spearmen to scare off some of these skinks, who, as you can see, did nothing at the end. But overall, quite an interesting build by him as well, like they did going very wide, obviously expecting a lot of big dinosaurs with all this anti-large, and the Skeleton Archers with an interesting pick. I'm not sure if I would choose them myself just because of Saurus Warriors with shields are such a common pick in this matchup, but they did obliterate one unit of Chameleon Skinks, and if they managed to catch hold of the other one, they really could have scared them away and then just had, constant fire into the Shredder of Lustria. So expecting big monsters, nice army overall. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please do leave a like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Now, recently I've been on a bit of a history binge, looking up some of the great generals of history. Been a lot of research into the Punic Wars, in particular the second one between Carthage and Rome. Well, both of them were between Carthage and Rome, but the second one is where Hannibal was involved. Been looking into him a lot, and also the King of Sweden, whose name I forget now. Really awesome King of Sweden, went to war with Russia and did some awesome stuff. So basically, I was just going to pose you guys the question of who is your top 3 generals in history. As I'm on a bit of a binge at the moment, I want some more people to look at. So recently I've been doing a lot of Alexander the Great, who's one of my favourites, Hannibal, who's one of my favourites, but I'd like to see some more. And also, I contemplated, because of this binge, buying Rome Total War 2, which is a little bit of an older game now, but I was wondering, would you guys be interested in watching me maybe do a campaign as someone like Carthage? And if so, let me know, and I'll happily buy the game and put some videos up on YouTube. But if not, I can always stick to the Total War Warhammer. But anyway, guys, enough rambling by me. Hope you guys had a good day and enjoyed my little return. I will see you soon, and stay awesome. Peace, guys.